Well, let's talk about the political ramifications, because we got this Philly DA race.
Yes, it is.
I've heard about it, but you were saying something crazy.
So it's Larry Krasner is his name. He is the district attorney. He was a former defense attorney and a public defense attorney, and he was a Soros-backed candidate. He was soft on crime. He did not. He didn't charge a series of crimes around the BLM riots, including breaking into windows, destroying public property, destroying private property. Didn't prosecute anything, and now he's being primaried by a guy named Carlos Vega, who is a prosecutor. He's a career prosecutor. He's Puerto Rican descent, and he is being challenged in the district. And if this happens, it will be the first Soros-backed candidate to lose after being elected. But there's been a huge surge of murder in Philadelphia. Like, it is.
Oh yeah.
I mean, we didn't only get 90s television shows in last year. We got 90s crime rates in the last year, and this is definitely one of them. And look, at Philadelphia, I mean, these people, they have to live with it and they have to deal with it. So I mean,
this is what's
and it's a Democratic primary, by the way. So there's no Republicans involved. It's just Democrats.
This is what's been happening across the country. The cops will arrest one of these extremists who are burning things down or smashing things or punching cops. And then the Soros-backed DAs or these leftist DAs will just be like, there's no crime here. I didn't see anything. And then you get somebody who didn't wear a mask at a Burger King, and they prison, banging the gavel.
They start
screaming.
Beating them in public. No, but they go after the ones who can't fight. I mean, that's the thing, and they don't want to sit there, and they want to pretend that they're protecting these people. But in the meantime, you're having this lady, who doesn't have a CVS now to get her insulin from, or whatever drug she was getting, and that's the problem going on. And you're making life much worse for the people you are promising to protect. So, I don't know what was trying to see if the election was happening right now. I think the vote tallies are coming in about now, but I don't know. It's probably too early. But it'll be interesting to see if Krasner goes down, because there's dozens of. There's one in L.A. There's one in. There's
Kim Fox.
Wasn't
she back
in
by
Chicago?
Soros?
Yeah, right.
And she let Jussie Smollett go.
Yes. Talk about because she's a woman of the people. Because if there's anyone who's really suffering in this life, it's Jussie Smollett.
That was the most insane story I think I've ever heard. And you had he's at it's what was it, 20 degrees in Chicago?
No, it was like in the single digits, and there's these two white guys waiting outside.
He's at Subway.
It's Subway sandwiches.
He's by the NBC building downtown Chicago, which is like a business area, and there's very few people.
And by the way, wait, can I say he is an actor from the show Empire, which no white people watched. No white people watched the show Empire. I never heard of him until I saw this.
I loved the joke where they were like, yes, the two Trump supporters who are familiar with the D-list actor from the show
Empire.
Right?
I'm like, there's zero chance. I was like, this isn't real, right?
Why? It's amazing to me how dumb some of these people are, that he couldn't come up with a better story where he could have just said a car drove by and a guy yelled, "This is MAGA country," and threw a bottle at him, and then he called the cops.
He sat in his apartment with the noose around his neck.
It was
for a half an hour until they showed up. He just sat there with the noose around his neck. I mean, that doesn't raise a flag. I don't know.
Cops were clearly
I have never had a noose put around my neck, but I bet you if I did, I wouldn't sit there with. I don't even like wearing my tie for one more second than I have to.
You wanted to make sure the cops came in.
Exactly. I'm just gonna sit there and
you know what I really loved was that apparently there was footage of him with the brothers walking up to the area the day before or something and pointing at it or
this is where we're gonna do it exactly, and sitting there and saying, in 8-degree weather and saying in full seriousness, he believed that everyone would just believe him 100%.
But they did.
No, most people did not believe him.
When you get the Big Bang Theory or whatever, some show, they all
he doesn't have a career nowadays.
Well, that's because he got caught.
Yeah.
But at the time, you had all these photos coming out. You had, remember when the actor, we'll just call the actor Paige, I'll avoid offending anybody, that the person who played Shadowcat in X-Men.
Yes. Okay. Paige. Yeah.
Well, I'm trying to avoid being offensive to literally anybody, so we'll just say Paige.
Artist formerly known as Ellen Page.
There we go. I think that still might be disrespectful, but
he was formerly known as Ellen Page.
All right.
Technically correct.
Well, Paige was on was it? Whose show was it? Just really angrily being and yelling about what happened. Man, imagine being one of these people right now where they're the CDC is just very, droll. You can take off your masks now. And then you're like, no, my identity. Just a lack of self
Yeah.
So you have these people who go on TV after the Jussie Smollett thing who are just like screaming and like shaking, just believing the world is this insane place.
Well, if you're not if you're not an interesting person, and most people are not interesting, and no offense to them, but they're not interesting, and you need to wrap yourself in identity. Usually, a generation or two ago, you either had kids by your early 30s, or you were married, or you had a career you were building, and that was kind of your whole identity. Maybe you belonged to a civic association of some sort, like I don't know, some kind of bowling league, whatever the case would be. That was your identity, and it was wrapped in actually doing something. Now, if you're like a 35-year-old person and you're either in your mom's basement still because you can't get a job, or you're a single woman and you have 15 degrees, and you can't get a job or whatever, of course you wrap yourself in a bigger identity. It's how you make yourself interesting in some way.
I wonder. It kind of feels like we're all in this pot, and it's being shaken up really hard. And like people like us are just sitting in the corner, just like, yeah, I get it. Yeah, this is annoying. But there are some people where every change is making their heads like they're stressed. Like the blood pressure on these like activists.
Well, there is some mentally ill people in this.
Yeah,
mental illness,
mostly on the left.
On the left. Oh, yeah, the study is done with it, and Goldberg said that.
Goldberg pulled that up.
Yeah, and there is a lot of mental illness on the left, and it's probably self-induced to some point. I mean, I don't know, but there's probably some.
What I mean is, I feel like you've got the Fauci, for instance. And he's like, you don't gotta wear masks. No, you don't. It's you might protect you from a droplet, and then everyone listens. And then a month later, he's like, you definitely gotta wear masks. If these people are playing Simon Says with this guy, so I'm sitting back just like, what's the next thing? And it was who was the guy on Rogan? Was it Bill Burr?
Yeah,
where he was like, I just turn on the TV and it says, do I wear a mask or not? I just do what the TV says.
Sounds like Bill Burr, yeah.
Is that Bill Burr? Okay.
That sounds like Bill Burr.
And that's what he said. And I'm like, these people are playing Simon Says with this guy. If you're in whatever bubble, wherever world we're in, I'm sitting here like this, like, oh, is that the rule now? Is that what we're doing? I'm just going to mind my own business. It's flipped and changed too much. I'm chilling. But imagine you are one of these people. And they tell you, wear a mask. First they say, don't wear a mask. Then they say, wear a mask. Then they say, oh, no, the vaccine will never get done. Oh, no, the vaccine's done. Now, even if you get the vaccine, you got to wear a mask. For no apparent reason, you cannot take the mask off. These people are like being flipped like pancakes over and over again. Yeah. And they're probably at some point, like their blood pressure must be through the roof because all they know is I trust the authorities. I trust the elites. I trust the establishment. But they keep getting... Like I'm saying, I don't know, it's Simon Says with Fauci.
I don't know how much of it is like I hate Trump and I want to show how great I am at hating Republicans and conservatives, so I'm going to still wear my mask, and how much of it is I genuinely fear for my health. Because there are those people who have genuine like paranoia, fear, and this is all like coming out. And how much of it is like this is part of my identity. I wear a mask. Like David Hogg, who's like, I'm going to wear a mask
because I don't want to be a conservative.
Because I don't want to be a conservative, so I'm going to sit there and just and it's.
I'm just saying
it's also not healthy for you to wear a mask all the time. Like it can't. Like can't.
No, they get dirty.
Yeah, you can't.
Filthy. But I'm wondering at what point do these people just drop to their knees and like their eyes go out opposite direction and they go because you cannot follow no rules. You know what I mean? Like, so the woke left will say women is offensive because not inclusive. So you got to say wimixin, but wimixin is offensive because it changes women and now it's exclusive. How do you live in a world where there's no rules? If you do not have mental fortitude, your brain is probably going to explode at some point.
Yeah.
You're going to fall down and just scream.
In combat especially, people lose their mind. They panic. They fall down. They can't shoot. They're just laying there. You have to force them down on the ground. I was talking to Forrest about this a little bit yesterday as an Army Ranger for a while. Like you just push them down on the ground and continue to do your job without them. Don't pay them attention. They're screaming. They're loud. Unfortunately, these people have access to social media and are making a big loud noise.
And they run the institutions too.
Yeah. And when laws get made because of panic, that's disturbing. That's really disturbing.
Yeah. But that's when they use it. See, here's my frustration with the right after COVID. COVID was like, the problem with the right is like we do things like we complain about public education for 45 years saying it's a horrible institution with lots of fallacies, which it is. It's true. And then they shut down every school in the country, and our go-to knee-jerk reaction is, let's open up the public schools again. The thing we've hated for 45 years. No, let's go right back to that. It's not like, hey, maybe we could give every parent a certain amount of money if they want to homeschool or send their kid to a private school or a religious school, whatever the case is, and we'll massively change our education. This will be the opportunity. This was the crisis we'll use to fundamentally alter education. The left always does that. The right never does that.
Did you see
and they're idiots for doing it.
You see the tweet from the GOP where they were like, thousands of mothers have chosen to stay
Yes.
home with their kids.
Yes.
instead of
Oh my
work.
God. I was like, what is wrong with you people? I'm like, this is what we always talked about. Like, oh my God, they have a parent at home. How wonderful.
The Overton window has gone so far left. The Republicans are outraged that more women aren't leaving their kids in daycare and going to work.
Yeah, and you would think that this is the time to sit there and really restructure society. Friendly Liebowitz, who I'm a really big fan of, she was like, oh, it's so great that there's no more tourists in New York City because I hate tourists, but also the New York City economy just crashed. And she's like, they were like, we're going to get back to normal. Normal wasn't great. We could actually make things better. But but if you're not a visionary person, and a lot of people on the left, I give them credit, are visionary people. They have a dream of what America is going to look like. It's not the dream I really subscribe to, but it's their dream. Those on the right, they don't have a vision. And I say this to politicians all the time when I consult for them. I say, tell me if you were going to run whatever you're running for, mayor, Congress, president, whatever it is, if you're going to run whatever you're going to run for a decade, tell me what it looks like. And I don't want to hear the words free market, liberty, or freedom. I don't want to hear any buzzwords. I want you to describe to me where I can close my eyes, I can walk through a town that you want to be mayor of, and I want to see what that town would look like. That is drastically different than the world I have now. And if you don't have that vision, you can't explain it to me, who spends my whole life in here. You can't explain it to anybody else.
To be fair, it's true. They probably don't have a vision of what the world should look like. They just have, certain, platitudes.
Tax cuts for Apple.
Yeah. But the creativity or like the ideas of the left and their vision, look, they might have a vision, but it's like hovercrafts and unicorns flying through the air. And
it's a crazy vision.
Replicators producing free cheeseburgers, but everyone's fit and healthy.
Yeah, if you put LSD in your oatmeal, that's the visions you get. But that's not like that doesn't mean that you shouldn't have an alternative aside from, we'll just make enough tax cuts that the world will be better. There is something in between. There is a vision of education is really important. A lot of people care about it, and we've complained for half a century about it, and we shut down every public school in the country, and we thought of no alternatives besides open up every public school in the country back up. That's problematic. That shows you don't have. That means a serious lack of vision and leadership.
I was excited when the schools all got shut down. The schools
too.
are trash, and I was like, homeschool your kids. These pods things. That sounds great. You know? Where you get one parent to watch the 40 kids or whatever, and then they trade off. And stuff.
That's illegal in some states and some communities, and that should be the number one thing people should campaign on, making sure that if you have a former math teacher on your block, and she is not allowed to sit there and bring all the kids from the block to sit there and learn math. That's horrible, and that's what number thing the governor should have signed executive orders immediately and done that, but they didn't because people between the ears, they don't have a lot of things going on there.
So I guess that's one of the biggest problems we have in the culture war is you've got people who are opposed to something and people who want something psychotic.
Yeah, and you don't have the alternative to sit there and say what would benefit America that you could provide, and use the power of government in some positive sense. They do this in other countries on the right, and I get that America has some attachment to the idea of liberty, but at the end of the day, most people do want some kind of security. They do want some kind of vision from their leaders, and that's why we slowly lose every institution. They erode everything across the board, and if you don't, the one things that we kind of won on is guns, as you mentioned. The right has won on guns, but that's because you had a group of people who were singularly focused, who had a vision. The vision was you can buy a gun without a license, and when in 1986 there was only one state in the country that had that law, which was Vermont of all places, and now it's over 18 states that have that law.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.